Motorists in our region are being told that not only is it greener to take the bus, it will also reduce your stress levels.
That's the message being put out by campaigners who are launching a pilot scheme to increase bus use in Norwich and Milton Keynes. The campaign's national aim is to shift 1 billion car journeys to bus by 2014. Elodie Harper reports.
The political climate has changed since Margaret Thatcher reportedly said anyone over 26 travelling by bus had failed at life. But travelling by car is still seen as more convenient. So a coalition of bus companies are campaigning in our region to change the image of bus travel. The campaign is trying to encourage more people onto the bus by telling them it's greener and less stressful than using a car. And here in Norwich, they're also trying to encourage people by offering one free annual bus pass to be won in a competition. It may take more than a free bus pass to change perceptions. Even the city's bus users are car fans.
Bus service is all right, but I would rather drive by car.
What makes you prefer the car to the bus?
We can go when we want to go and not be nice, we don't have to wait around for a bus.
Car is more convenient, but I'd probably use the bus.
Why is that?
Just lower carbon footprint.
The East is the top region for car ownership in Britain, and the number of car-owning households went up 8% in the last 10 years. That's despite the fact 84% of households are in walking distance of a bus stop. Appealing to motorists' self-interest is key. Posters are going up in Norwich and Milton Keynes which stress the convenience of buses.
Stress comes from the car driver, from congestion, heavy traffic.
But isn't that just the same in a bus? You get heavy traffic and congestion in a bus.
But when you're in a bus, you can do other things. It's the driver up front. We've given them Smith's advanced driver training there.
But isn't it really that the green argument is the only compelling one? And by saying it's less stressful on the bus, that is because people are not being attracted onto buses because it's greener?
No, I would say there's a green argument, and I would also say it's less stressful.
Can I ask you a personal question? Do you use the bus to get to work?
Where I am down in Essex, no I don't.
For some, an improvement in services is all that will tempt them out of their cars.
If people knew that they had a reliable bus service that could take them where they wanted to, when they needed to, then it's likely to get used more. However, I think at the moment the service isn't up to scratch necessarily for people to stop using their cars.
Whether we're encouraged onto buses by the lure of a free pass or the hope of improving our stress levels, it seems that bus companies are no longer relying solely on the environmental argument to get us on board. Elodie Harper, Anglia News, Norwich.
Well, great weather for standing in a bus stop today, but we want to know what you think of the new scheme. Would you give your car up and take the bus?
Perhaps you already have done so. Email your thoughts to Jonathan and Becky at itv.com. That's Jonathan and Becky at itv.com, and we'll try to read some of them out before the end of the programme.
Yes, do stay with us. More of the region.
Stretches of beach at Southend and Canvey Island in Essex have been closed following an oil spill.
It's thought 200 litres of ship's fuel oil spilled from a cargo vessel near Canvey Island yesterday morning. Lorna Ramsey reports.
The windy weather has brought Alf Tidy to Thorpe Bay Beach near Southend. But like so many people who enjoy water sports, the oil spill has caused great concern.
There are various clumps of it out on the sea at the moment, and it just looks like seaweed floating along, but when you get a good look you realise that it's sort of like a heavy fuel oil. It's not good for the environment, it's not good for swimmers, you know, in the sea, and for people trying to generally enjoy the beach.
If you walk along parts of the coast at Southend and Canvey Island, black globules of oil can be seen attached to seaweed. Up to 200 litres of fuel oil spilled from a cargo vessel at around 7 o'clock yesterday morning. 2 oil spill response vessels tried to recover as much as possible, but some washed up on beaches overnight. Councils are asking people to keep off a 4-mile stretch in Southend between the Sea Life Centre in Southend and Uncle Tom's Cabin in Shoebury. In Canvey Island, the stretch between Thorney Bay and Concord Beach has been closed.
Any oil spill is always a big issue. We have some very attractive beaches in Southend. A lot of people use them as an amenity. There's also the environmental issue. At the moment, we aren't aware of any issues around that. But again, I know that people will think of birds in oil and things like that, and that's the concern.
The Port of London Authority is investigating the spill and believes it knows which vessel caused it. But while that investigation continues, the local councils have to decide how to clean it up. Lorna Ramsey, Anglia News, Thorpe Bay.
Essex firefighters have resumed industrial action today in an ongoing dispute over jobs and working practices. Union members are refusing to do overtime or cover staff shortages after an agreement fell through in July. The long-running dispute centres around the loss of 44 firefighters' posts.
You've got firefighter safety comes in, you've got public safety as well, and obviously if we can't get the level of cover that we feel that there should be out there, all of these delays in the turnouts could obviously mean to greater fire spread or obviously greater sort of like risk to their lives.
The reality is that the public sector's under severe pressure from budgets, and the Essex FBU seems to think that we can treat them as a special case.
A paedophile's been jailed following the introduction of a new scheme dubbed Sarah's Law. The child sex offender disclosure process allows parents to make inquiries about people who have contact with their children. The 55-year-old registered sex offender was arrested and sentenced to 26 weeks in jail after it became clear he had access to a child, breaching the terms of his licence.
There's fresh hope for hundreds of workers in Norwich who lost their jobs after the collapse of Connaught. 300 staff were made redundant last week. Now the administrator, KPMG, says Norwich City Council is in talks with an unnamed firm to take over the work. A deal could be done this week. Boat users on the Broads say opening restrictions on a vital swing bridge are affecting tourism in the area.
Summer Leighton Bridge near Lowestoft is in desperate need of repair, and its owners, Network Rail, have reduced the number of times it opens per day from 3 to 2, as Kate Prout reports.
Playing the waiting game. Boats idle on the River Waveney, waiting for their brief window of opportunity. Until the bridge opens, they can go no further east. Passing under the Summer Leighton Bridge allows boats access to Alton Broad, Lowestoft and the open sea, as well as Beccles.
It has a knock-on effect with the rest of the economy. There are lots of things that are not happening on the Broads. Lots of sailing clubs and cruising clubs who can't get through the bridge unless it opens, who are perhaps not taking their cruises and not therefore spending their money at some of the marinas.
Local sailors say these restrictions are against the law.
The railway companies back in the last century or the century before were allowed to put bridges over the rivers as a privilege by Act of Parliament. The Act of Parliament stipulated that those bridges had to open on demand for river traffic because the river is the primary transport network. The railways came along afterwards. So the boats have priority. But Network Rail are ignoring that.
There have been problems recently also with Trouse and Reedham swing bridges, causing delays for boats unable to pass through there. Network Rail say Summer Leighton Bridge has a damaged bearing, which is due to be fully restored next month, but it's showing further signs of deterioration. In order to prevent long-term damage and the possible permanent closure of the bridge, they're reducing the number of times it swings a day to 2. When I asked them this morning how long this would continue, they weren't able to tell me. Finally, at 3:30 this afternoon, with some help from Network Rail engineers, the Victorian Bridge is open to allow boats through for just 10 minutes. Until 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, it will be used only once more for train travel. Kate Prout, Anglia News, Summer Leighton and Suffolk.
Boating restrictions put in place at a Cambridgeshire lake following the discovery of a so-called killer shrimp have been lifted. The restrictions at Grafham Water were triggered by the discovery of the non-native shrimp. Anglian Water banned boats from moving on and off the site to stop the creature spreading to other watercourses.